What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, tier list edition, number 3 for the annual breakdown of the rosters for AEW and WWE. We already took care of the AEW side, the men's and women's divisions, joke at those podcasts in the last week's feed. And today we are going to be, actually, we're doing this in advance. This is September 11th, and we are doing the WWE side of that. So we are currently on this video talking about the women's division. Strap yourselves in. We have to rank quite a bit of people here. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Robert E. Felice.
The women.
And caught me off guard with that. Go check out that Review to a Kill podcast anytime that anybody has no idea what we're doing when it comes to that recurring joke. I speak English. And the previous podcasts that we've done in the past, check them out too. Not only if you want to know what the rankings were for the AEW stuff, but also if you want to check out what the rankings were for the WWE roster from last year to see how things have changed from one thing to another. We have some new people, of course, on the roster this year that weren't there last year. Some people that were there last year that are no longer in the company anymore. So we're not ranking them, obviously, because we're only doing the people that are currently on the roster as far as September 11th is concerned. I don't know when I'm publishing this. It's probably going to be Tuesday, Wednesday or so next week. But that may change. For all we know, maybe on Friday Night SmackDown, there ends up being a big change whatsoever. Maybe Solo Sikoa wins the WWE title. I don't know. I don't think it's happening, but grand scheme of things, it's probably not going to be. And if that is a massive adjustment, then in the meantime, over the next few days, we'll just leave a comment below or something. And you should leave a comment below as well. If you're on YouTube, then make sure you also click on the different buttons that you can see on your screen that'll help us out, like the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, get those email alerts set up from when we go live for whatever it is we go live for. Typically, it's just pay-per-view post shows, but you never know if we're going to do something else in the meantime. Sometimes we do a live hot tag. Sometimes I don't know, maybe we'll do a live fan out table or something. I don't know. But also click on that join button, help us out. Thanks button. It's also another great way to help us out on the monetary side of things. The join button, if you don't know, is the same as the Patreon stuff. And it seems that finally, the account has switched over to where there's access now where I can make the people that are on the different tiers of the membership get early access to anything that I schedule in advance. So I'm going to do that from now on for anything that we do in advance, which means that even though we are recording this on September 11th, I am actually going to set this up where the people that are on the Darkcast tier and above, actually, I'm not going to do the Darkcast tier and above. I'm going to do the ad block forgiveness tier and above. Make it a little bit easier. Anybody that is on that, you know what? Maybe I'll just do the one that's on the lending a hand. Screw it. I'm going to make it $1 a month tier. I'll do that for these. You'll be able to get access to this in advance, and I'll schedule this for next week. But you'll be able to check it out in the next few days prior to that. So that's another method of showing my support for you guys, and you show your support for me and all that. And it's greatly, greatly appreciated. Can't do the same on Patreon. They're lame like that, but whatever it is. So Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can pick up your merchandise as well if you're interested in all that side of things. And also check out the Discord server. Keep that in mind if you want to chat it up throughout the days and weeks and whatever about anything at random. You can always just hop on one of those channels and have some fun over there. So we have a pretty self-explanatory breakdown, especially if you've already checked out what we've been doing over this past little bit. But let me show you on the screen right now for anybody that it's on YouTube. This is our list of the women in WWE right now, and this spans every roster except for the NIL class. We've done that in the past where we've had them on the side, and then I've just moved them over to the no opinion thing, and it just bulks it out too much, and nobody cares. So unless you're like an Obafemi who goes from the NIL class to an actual superstar, and then you're classified a true member of the Performance Center, and we get to see you on Level Up or NXT or something, then you're just not going to be on this list anymore for however long we do these, at least for this year. So I wrote down everybody that I can think of that it's on the Raw, SmackDown, or NXT or Performance Center side of things. There are a few people that I already moved into the no opinion column that we have quite literally not seen yet in any capacity, but they are official members of the roster. Like Abby Jacobs, Bailey Humphrey, Darcy Kahn, Jaden Fields, Serena Linton, and Delta, who they had signed. They haven't shown them on TV yet. So I highly doubt anybody's going to be like, man, Darcy Kahn, fucking, middle of the road, whatever it might be. But you guys might have seen Delta, right?
Have they signed her officially?
As far as I'm aware, they have, but they never really do the announcements like they used to with like the Performance Center classes or like the posts on WWE.com. And you would think that they would, considering we're in this age of content where they always want people to click on everything. Why wouldn't they have the social media team post stuff? And why wouldn't they have the .com team do that? But the .com team is also sometimes just like, yeah, it's not the name of the pay-per-view, but I don't care. So maybe there's 3 people working on the entire website. So maybe they signed her, maybe they didn't. If they did, we haven't seen her. If they didn't, then she's just filling up a spot on here for no reason whatsoever. But we have, I think it's 70 names here, 78 names to break down. Everybody from Adriana Rizzo to Zoe Stark and all the people in between. So our normal tiers are the way that they are for all the other things. We have the S tier, the GOATs, A tier main event, B tier above average, C tier middle of the road, D tier below par, E tier jobber status, F tier is the drizzling shits. And we will try to go with our breakdown of proper curve, adjust things along the way if we need to. Let us know what you think, what we do, and what your picks are in the comments. And let's get this thing started. I think, as always, we should probably try to set some S tier, C tier, and F tier options. And maybe it's not fair necessarily to do this, but my gut and my brain immediately said, well, if I'm going to go with an F tier, especially these days where she isn't doing anything at all, I would just probably put Tamina in there in the F tier to bottom this list out. But if that's a little too mean and we should put her in the no opinion column, even though we know, the peak of her career, what she was able to do and all, if we need to go somebody else in that way, I should remove Ava. She's not wrestling. There might be some little hiccups on that front. If we have to put somebody else there to set that bar, I'd probably put BFAB, to be honest.
Is Tamina employed?
As far as I'm aware, they never released her.
Well, all right.
I'm fine putting them there. So
what about BFAB?
Both of them?
Both of them?
Yeah, I'd say both of them.
Yeah. BFAB doesn't wrestle.
Put Ava Rain in there? Or Ava in there?
I figured I'd take her off because she is just basically general manager now. But
the great general manager she is.
Maybe the same should apply to Stevie Turner. She's not doing anything but talking to Ava and Robert Stone.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun, but she's not wrestling. Which I don't know why that's the case. Wonder if she's like injured or if they just...
Wasn't she like a hacker gimmick?
Yeah, she had like that... the thing similar to the one, the Screwball, I think it is, and Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
She had like I'm a Twitch streamer, and I'm gonna kind of. They should have just said that she was NXT Anonymous.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, you asshole. I was just about to say she could just be NXT Anonymous.
Here you go. You can have them back.
Oh, thank you. She could just be NXT Anonymous. Like,
I don't know why I mimicked doing that. We don't have the video screens on right now. I quite literally mimicked throwing that into my microphone.
It's okay, I felt it.
What was better, that or the crackers that you ate?
The crackers.
What kind of crackers are we talking about? Oyster crackers or saltines? Ritz. All right, the Rolls Royce crackers. Screw you, Triscuits. You're terrible. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Stevie Turner is one of those, like, I can't say like drizzling shits or something like that. Like, she wasn't awful in the ring or anything, but I don't know, maybe the no opinion column for her right now. If we judge based off of what she was in NXT UK and NXT prior to this little stint as
I would just delete her. If you deleted Ava, she's basically on the Ava level.
Where's that in comparison to the Neville level?
The few levels below.
At least. Well, let's toss out some S tiers and some C tiers.
Rhea Ripley, she's like a top star in the company overall.
Yep, definitely would put her in there. I don't have Becky Lynch on this list for anybody that's wondering, because she did have her contract lapse, even though she actually is still listed on the roster page. But obviously, if she resigns at any moment, she goes on the S tier, just because it's Becky. I would say Stephanie Vaquera, I would put her in the no opinion yet, even though I've seen a few of her matches now and I like what I've seen. I'd probably put her in the B tier, but she hasn't wrestled for the company yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what the presentation is for her yet, so
that seems fair enough to put her in the no opinion.
Charlotte's a GOAT because she just is, and Bianca's a GOAT because she Bianca
certainly is an S tier. Charlotte, I'd make the case that maybe she should be an A tier at this point. It's hard to say because it's like the lineage thing that we've talked about with the other ones. Like, do we just go with the GOAT because of all her tenure? Probably. How do you feel about that, Callum?
I mean, I could compare her to like Jericho in the AEW one, and we put Jericho in A.
That's a good point.
I was going to save that comparison for Bayley.
I'd go even lower for Bayley. I'd go B tier.
No,
she's definitely A at least.
No, you can.
She's a main event person there. So,
all right. Well, that's 2 votes for A tier. I'm not going to fight you on it. I didn't think her title reign. I have anything like that.
She had a great Royal Rumble, and I mean this is kind of where you do have to go towards the accomplishments. She's a main event level for the talent whenever they choose to make her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she wrestled like second from the top at WrestleMania 49 too, which was like, I assume for a lot of WWE it's their show of the year. So I think that she's a main event talent for the women's division.
As opposed to what would be the show of the year if it's not Mania?
I don't know. I'm not watching any of it.
Oh, you mean like from a quality standpoint?
It's literally the last WWE show I watched was that show. So I have no. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's been any better than that. So.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like from it's the top show of the year. I was like, what are you comparing it to?
Like
Backlash France.
the 2 other WWE shows I saw this year. So. I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, S tier ones. There's probably. I mean, it's fairly limited, I think. I think you're probably looking at maybe...
Somebody that in years prior was an S tier, but has gone down to the point that I would put them in A tier now is Asuka.
Yeah, I'd say Asuka's A tier.
I think Asuka, EO are A tier. I think Kairi might be a B.
Kairi has to be lower than Asuka and EO, I think, yeah. But I'd probably go B. For Kairi,
sure,
because we know that Kairi is better than what they've given her the options for. I mean, she's a badass too. Like, look at how many times she gets like bloodied up, and it's just sort of like, look at my eyeball, and you're like, man. Sometimes I'm like, I cut my fingernail in a weird way. Now it's gonna bother me all day, and she's like, my eye socket's bloody. Don't I look badass? And hell yeah, you do. For that matter, too, Dakota Kai, at that point, I don't know if I go B tier. I think I'd probably go C.
I guess say C.
Yeah. From a quality standpoint, she's a C. Presentation standpoint, unfortunately, a D.
We know that she could do more. We know that she could be better, but they definitely put her as like the lowest on damage control. It's a shame, too. She should have her little moment in the sun once in a while.
I have a question, Tony.
4.
Who is Layla Diggs?
Exactly. She is one of these people that has been on NXT Level Up, and I have not seen.
Can go ahead and slam her right in that no opinion column.
Yeah, she's a no opinion one. There are a few others that are in that kind of capacity that I have no opinion for because it is just like the level up side of it.
You can go ahead and put her right in that column.
Which one?
Lainey Reed.
Lady Reed, yeah, she is another one of those. And then I think that there was one more.
Tyra May Steele,
that's the other one, yeah.
I've seen her. but
you can't convince me that's not a porn star.
Superstar.
That's wrestler porn star. Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, that is Olympic gold medalist Tamara Mensah-Stock.
Oh, well, that's a name. That's the name that they've given her is not that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is a little.
Tamara Mensah-Stock is her name. That's her full name.
Yeah.
So it's funny that it's like I'm gonna go TMS again and just like kind of porn it up a little bit, like you said, Tyra May Steele. Especially you gotta put that E at the end of Steele.
With a name like that, it might as well be Taste My Seed.
I mean, we got to switch her over to A tier now, right? Like,
hey, Jesus, I was not expecting that from
neither was I.
Oh God!
Should she just team up with Meat then? If that's it, we just start bringing these in, and let's throw some more C tiers in there. Kind of start bulking out that middle of the range, sort of.
Parker.
Yeah, I'd say Jada Parker is a C tier. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, she's done some good stuff. She's working on improving, and certainly wouldn't go.
Be a big deal for this company one day.
Hopefully so. Yeah, I mean, she's not at above average level quite yet, but she's working her way through NXT, and I would say this is kind of like, it's unfortunate. I'd say the Pure Fusion collective is all kind of collectively in that C tier type range to me now too, because Shayna is like, she lost all her mystique. She was so much like an S tier type talent in NXT, and she just progressively went downhill further and further. And Sonya, Zoe, Shayna, at most I'd go B tier for them, but I'd argue they should probably be C at this point.
Put them in C for now.
Where's the?
Yeah, I think a C for the Pure Fusion collective for the time being. I'm slightly worried though we're putting too many people in C.
We can always move.
Yeah, I know, but it's just case like I'm wondering because
there is
a distinct just again, as someone who doesn't watch all the time but who sees bits and pieces, there's a very distinct fridge feel to a lot of the women in WWE.
You're gonna get that D tier is gonna be the highest, I think. By the time we're done with this.
C and D's, but we got some B's too. Like I'd go B for Tiffany Stratton.
Tiffany. Yeah, I mean that's arguably low putting her on a B level. But
for now, because her call up has been a little wonky.
I'll just notice another one that I'm not familiar with. Xena Sterling.
Oh yeah, she's another one.
Yeah.
That's like barely popped up once or twice and
couldn't even tell you what she looked like.
Yeah, I think she's Russian, if I remember correctly. Let's Google her. Xena.
Why's she in a hurry?
Blonde.
Ukrainian looks like from the flag.
So she is Olena Sadovska was her name before.
You gotta love stan culture. Here is an NXT superstar I've never seen. 20 years old. She's already got the fan made banner on her Twitter account. You gotta love stan culture.
It is crazy. People just go new person. It's mostly for the women. It seems too. Nobody goes oh man, Trey Bearhill.
Boy, Javier Bernal.
Right, yeah. But I mean that preferential treatment's always the thing. So I'm sure if we switched over to somebody like a Carly Bright or a Kendall Gray, it would be mother, that kind of thing.
Let's for both of those, I'd put them in D.
I'd put them in D too. They're not bad, in the sense of
they might be something.
But they're very new to this, and they have no characters whatsoever. They are just cute and blonde
Carly
and
Wright
peppy.
Is just the second coming of 2010 Kelly. But she has to do more moves because the business has evolved. And Kendall Gray is her friend. Kind of like how, who's Eve Torres? That's Kelly's friend.
I still, off the top of my head, cannot tell you which one's which.
Carly is the blonde one. Kendall is the brunette.
Kendall Gray. Let's see. Kendall Gray. Okay, that's a different person. So Kendall Gray is that one, and then Carly Bright's this one. Yep, I'm still gonna get that mixed up. And they're about the same level, so yeah, that's fine.
I saw a couple of clips going around on Twitter about like there was like this large congregation of like women in the locker room because I think they're doing it like in the build up to like who's going to challenge Jordan Grace in the title match. It's like just scanning across like how could anyone know who any of these people are outside of like two of the obvious ones? Like yeah, I can pick out Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan and Lash Legend and you know Jakara Jackson and you know maybe like a couple of others, but then it's just a bevy of blonde women that are just completely interchangeable with each other.
So I think that's kind of the entire vibe of it, where it's like each time you see this, hey, this one's been on TV more. I recognize them now. And these must be the girls that are coming up because they've been doing this presentation for like, what, a year and a half? And I will say, as I said way before they announced the deal, it's perfect for the CW. It feels like a CW show about teen drama, and they're landing on the perfect network.
I think even more so an example of how strange that is when they do the segments with Ashanti the Adonis and now like Eddie Thorpe and Deion Lennox and all.
Eddie Thorpe just has a random horde of blonde women around him and Ashanti the Adonis is trying to hit on them.
Yeah, it's like
funny.
I pay more attention to who these people on the roster are more than a lot of other people, and so many times, including last night's episode, again, for those people listening to this after the fact, last night's being the 10th of September, and there were like 5 women around Eddie Thorpe, and I was like, yeah, I know 2 of them. Like, one of them, I believe, was Carmen Petrovic. Couldn't really see because she was like standing behind everybody else, which is kind of strange because she's the biggest name out of them, but... There was an Asian girl, and I didn't recognize her, and she's popped up a couple different times, so she's probably some performance center person. Maybe she's like in this group here of like Jaden Fields or somebody. But that group it's hard to distinguish because they don't have characters and stuff yet. Whereas obviously there are people, different story. We're gonna mute this. I guess that's the thing. Got to worry about in the future. Let's go for some more on. We don't have anybody in the E tier yet.
Valhalla.
Who could we? Oh, that's a good pick. She's either E or she's F. I'd be willing to put her in F if we have other people like that we move into the E tier down the line.
I'm trying to think of who else would potentially go in, because I think that you could easily move Valhalla into F, but it's just whether you put someone else into, it's just who fits into an E tier bracket.
The only one other that I'd put in there is Maxine.
I just realized we have 2 EOS guys listed on here.
I mean, I'd put Maxine, like, no, she's on the main roster, so she must be higher up than Carly and Kendall, surely. Or at least on par with them.
Maxine at this point... I don't know if I'd go quite C tier, but I'd lean probably more towards C tier than D tier. I definitely wouldn't go E for Maxine.
I wouldn't go C tier because like she doesn't match up just from an in-ring perspective to Stark and Deville and Shayna.
So I think that's fair.
D tier for Maxine. Yeah, she's getting better. Maybe by the time we do this next year, maybe she'll be C tier or above. Valhalla, we could put her in E tier for now, and then potentially move her depending on how we want to stratify this. Stratify that, not stratify. That's a different story. Trish isn't on this list. I think another D tier one that I would put out there is Jasmine Nix. She's not at the level of Jada Parker yet for me.
Yeah, maybe even B if we need to move somebody down.
Potentially E for Jasmine?
Yeah. Just for now, because she's had like how many matches?
I'd put her on par with Carly and Kendall, though.
That's fair. That's true.
And we might end up moving Carly and Kendall down to E tier, the more that I'm thinking about it.
You know who might have to be an E at this point? Kiana James.
Well, she's been MIA for a leg injury, apparently.
Oh, did they finally say something?
I saw some report about that, but she was taken off the roster in some capacity, and that's a little strange too. So, I don't know. We know that she's better than not being used. Like, she had some. If they wanted to, they could do something with Kiana James. Not like, A tier or anything, but I would say Kiana, if she was like doing what she could do right now for based off what she did in NXT, probably be in that C tier type range.
Caden Carter and Katana Chance. Where would you like to put them?
At most they're C tier, but I kind of think maybe even D. This C and D tier, actually, and E to put like a potential, is going to be. I think we're going to end up moving some people around because there are people that are like right in that range of that.
Yeah, I'd put them in D for now.
Who's the other one we were just talking about? Kiana.
Kiana.
What was your suggestion for Kiana?
D now, maybe? I was thinking E because she just hasn't been around. She had like one match and she lost it, but maybe D because we know what she can do in NXT.
Any thoughts on her, Callum?
I haven't seen enough of her recently.
Yeah, I think she's completely out of Callum's, like when he stopped watching kind of thing.
I know who she is. I have seen her wrestle. Just like
Electra Lopez is the name.
I think she's particularly good.
Right with Valhalla.
I'd be totally down for that. I think we actually probably should move Carly and Kendall to E. Now that I'm looking at this group, because they are at least doing things that are fair. Kind of more on par with building towards a future. Carly and Kendall, this isn't a mean of like, oh, write them off entirely, they're terrible or anything, but they are being presented as like bubbly newcomers that are very green and loose rather than
then in that
else.
Case put Brindley Reese right under them.
I'd make the argument maybe D tier for Brindley.
No,
I mean, I can't be a tiebreaker. I don't know who she is. So.
She's like, she loses all the time and she's bubbly and all that kind of stuff. I like her character more than the two of them. That's why I'd go in that. But yeah, I'm not going to make too much of a fuss about her not being in that E tier. D tier maybe for Ren Sinclair.
Yeah.
She's working her way up. It sounds awful to be like a D tier below par, but it's like
a lot of this has to do with presentation.
And it's like a clear distinction between developmental rookie class versus established main eventers. So like somebody like a Ren Sinclair, she's not been on the roster long, and she is working her way up the roster. And she, a couple months ago, probably would have been an F tier because they just weren't using her. Now that she's been doing the no quarter catch crew stuff, she's standing out quite a bit.
Some of my favorite stuff on the show, honestly.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, realistically, I'm not going to put her nor Jasmine on the same tier as JC Jane and Fallon Henley. And then when you look at Fallon Henley and JC Jane, you're like, okay, well, can I really put them on the same level as Tiffany Stratton? So then that becomes, I think JC and Fallon need to be in C tier.
Yeah.
And then that kind of defaults Jasmine and then Ren to D tier. So it's kind of like, I mean, C tier is middle of the road. It's, we need more people in the C tier than any other part of the roster. So,
D for Petrovic.
I'd go C. I think she's kind of on the same sort of level as JC and Fallon at this point. Maybe not.
Exactly.
Yeah. She might end up being. Yeah, she's been presented pretty well, but not as well. Yeah, but I'd go C for Kalani Jordan.
Yep.
I mean, she is a champion.
I'd go.
Is C tier a little low for Kalani Jordan?
Well, where are we putting Roxanne as the world?
Roxanne plays an A.
Roxanne's above Kalani for sure.
Oh yes,
but Roxanne's an A or a B. I don't know if I'd go A 100%. B is like, she's a B plus. if not.
I think if you're the figurehead of the NXT women's division, then you should be an A.
How much are we docking her points for her character, though?
Her character's gotten better.
Has it? I haven't seen it.
It has. It's way better than the I fainted.
I mean, that's utter shit, but I absolutely hate her heel character and her promos.
If we put her in A, then I'll put Kalani in B.
Because I'd say that Kalani is kind of the breakout star of the kind of younger generation of wrestlers coming through in NXT. Clearly, they see a lot more potential in her than some of the other ones, or at least more immediate potential, because she's the one that's holding that title right now. So yeah, I mean, I'd go with her. I'd go with her because she's higher up than Fallon and JC.
Yeah, I'd put her in B then.
Yeah, I'm probably okay with that.
By the way, Nia Jax, we haven't ranked any of the women's champions at the main roster.
A tier for Liv?
Yeah. And A tier for Nia at this point, too.
Yeah. It's weird. What was she the last time around?
Not on the roster?
She wasn't on the roster last time around, was she?
No, she was D tier.
Okay.
And then before that, I think 2022 on that list, I don't think she was on the roster there. Yeah, I don't see her on here, so it must not have been around that time that she was there.
Hell of a jump up for her.
Yeah, you improve and you get higher on the list. She's been doing some really good stuff. Unfortunately, somebody that hasn't been doing not only not some good stuff, but fucking nothing at all. And at this point, I'd probably put her in the E tier. Is Tegan Nox?
That's sad.
I won't go as far as E.
Yeah. I don't know if
what's the last thing that you've seen her do, period? And on top of that, what's the last thing you saw her do that was good?
That's not the good part isn't fair because she's good. They're just not doing fuck all with her.
The last thing that she's done though was that whole thing with Natty, where it was like they're teaming up but they're mad at each other.
Wasn't the last thing she did wrestle Becky on NXT for the NXT title?
Tegan?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
The whole story about that was that she was meant to wrestle Becky and then she was pulled off of that match and then they eventually did the match.
So the last match she had on TV was she was teaming with actually Shayna and Zoe. Interesting. Yeah, so the last major thing she did was wrestle Becky on the October 9 episode of Raw for the NXT title. But she's done some tag matches since then, and I guess they just pulled her. That sucks.
Would you rank her to be on the same tier right now, though, as Casey, and Maxine at all? Even though she's done nothing for an entire year?
Casey, yes. Absolutely.
Oh, is that 2 votes for D? If it's 2 votes, you guys got it, but...
Yeah, I mean, I'd put her ahead of, a load of people that I'm completely unfamiliar with, and Valhalla and Elektra Lopez, yeah.
Lyra Valkyria is a C.
Yeah, I'd probably go C. Is she high C orange or?
I was gonna say fruit punch. Thank you.
Ecto Cooler. To me, she's pretty much on par with the Zoe
think she's
and.
A B, Callum?
Well, she's better than. Again, it's a case of she's just flat out better in the ring than everyone else in the C tier.
But what about all the other elements beyond the ring tier? If it's
it's clear that at least from the initial push that she got, the crowd would connect with her, but then they just decided not to sustain that push. She was just there to get beat by Nia Jax in the final, the Queen of the Ring, and then they decided, oh yeah, we're just not going to do anything with you anymore. I think that, there's definitely work that needs to be done with the character side of things, but I think that she probably has more character than most of the people in the C tier as well. So again, I'm just judging it based on who else we've got to put in these lists because there's a lot more people that are going to be in the C and D tier, or at least more people.
If we could put her on there, we might end up adjusting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that another C tier person is Thea Hale.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She's super fun. She hasn't won any championships and stuff like JC and Fallon, but that's okay. If they would have had the Women's North American Championship, I think like a year ago, she probably would have won that title at some point. And maybe she still will. Let's see what some other people that... do we have any other potential A tier? We certainly don't have any more S tier options, I don't think.
I don't think we have an A tier left in.
I mean, by virtue of the fact that her name is on the list, I feel the need to at least make the argument for Mako.
Nah, I couldn't go A tier. She's wrestled one house show match in the past year and 9 months or whatever.
Who'd she wrestle?
She wrestled Bailey. It was in Japan,
tag, right?
So. No, she wrestled Bailey in Japan. So.
She wrestled Bailey for the women's title.
But it was in Japan, so it's like... In the same token, we should put like Piper living in A because she wrestled for the women's title in Scotland. So
Piper, I'd go see.
Yeah.
Again, that's a bit of a shame, but yeah, still. In the same token, Chelsea should go
see.
Chelsea C.
Yeah.
So Mako.
I mean, again,
I'd almost kind of no opinion her. In some ways, because
I probably would. Yeah.
She's more of like a trainer at this point.
It hurts me to say this, but based off of, well, actually, no. Now that I look at Tegan, maybe Candice in the D tier with Indy.
I don't know if I can make an argument against that. They do just kind of lose.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fine putting both of those in there.
I think maybe C tier for the Unholy Union.
Yeah.
They were tag team champions. They never really got pushed as like on the same level as Jade and Bianca. I mean, not that anybody thought they would be, but...
Do we know opinion on Bliss at this point?
I kind of think so. Yeah, they've been gone so long. And
I'd add Scarlett into there as well, because she just doesn't wrestle. Yeah. So
Scarlett's a non-factor. Even though it's been a while since we've seen her, I can't in good conscience put her even in the C tier. Shotzi has to be D or E.
I'd argue E for Shotzi.
I think she might have to be E. Yeah.
The difference I see with her and Tegan Nox is the fact that Tegan, you probably can drag a good match out of her if called upon. I just don't think you can do that with Shotzi.
It's such a shame because Shotzi came in and it was like, wow, man, that's like such a breath of fresh air. She should be this great talent that they can really do a lot with. And she's a different type of character. And who did I just erase by accident? Cora. And then it just hasn't worked. Like, the gods are against her or something. I don't know what's up with that, but she's been MIA for a long time now. And even when she was active, every time that she was active, it was like, oh, this match is actually one of the worst matches, and the feuds weren't great. So it's a stacked up set of problems. Julia just had her first match last night in WWE, but I'd already put her at least in B tier. Presentation wise, and the fact that she seems like she's all that, I couldn't in good conscience put her in A tier. But I'd go B for Julia.
What do you think, Helen?
I mean, I didn't see that match, but I know that she is good.
I mean, you know what Julia is capable of.
Yeah, I mean, in which case I'd say B tier, yeah.
And I think that probably the highest name that's currently on this list that we haven't done yet. Who do we have left? How many people we have? 22 is Jade. And I'd hesitate to put her in that A tier, but maybe she'd at least be B tier though.
Presentation brings her up to a B.
Yeah, it's only the presentation that saves her and the look that saves her for being a B tier, because otherwise she'd be C.
I think she's like on par with Tiffany Stratton right now when it comes to like overall package.
Nah.
They're building her up to be a major star. Tiffany, I would trust Tiffany in the ring. Yeah, but it's not just all in-ring stuff. So it's like Tiffany has Money in the Bank. Jade's a 2-time women's champion, tagging with Bianca, never gets pinned. I think that they're kind of on par with that.
Tiffany is like a much more well-rounded package. It's not just the in-ring thing. She's a better promo than Jade. The look is still like, well, it's not as good as Jade, but it's comparable.
What's the argument here that Jade would be a C otherwise?
Well, I just think that like if she, didn't look the way that she does, and obviously that's a big part of it. That's why I'm saying that she should be B. But if she didn't look the way she does, then she would definitely be a C tier one.
No, you're absolutely right. That's why I said B. The presentation is what puts her there. She is a B and on par with Tiffany, but it's for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they kind of balance out in some slightly different ways.
Speaking of Queen of the C tier, Naomi.
I'd make an argument maybe B.
Naomi's as middle of the road as you get, I think.
I think I'd go B, actually. I think I'd be... This might be one of the first times that I'm more pro Naomi than you are.
I mean, I'd go C, because I've never thought that Naomi's very good, so...
Natty, I'd put in B.
Natty, I'd go C.
Natty, I'd go D.
So we got a B, a C, and a D. So that balances out to a C.
That's a C.
Did you? I'd say, did you hear that reaction when she came out on Monday? But you wouldn't be able to hear it because there was no reaction. So
Jesus Christ.
We haven't done the hot tags yet for this week, so I don't know what we're going to talk about in retrospect, like from when we do the Friday thing. But man, the line of the night, Goldberg. Certainly more so than a bigger reaction than Natty coming out.
It takes something that even in your own like home country, the place that you kind of like trained and grew up, like doesn't care that you're there.
But I'd go D tier. No, at this point I'd go E tier because she hasn't done more in a while because she's been MIA. E tier for Danny Palmer. I've seen some good stuff, but she's been MIA so long that I can't put her in the same tier as like Carmen Petrovich.
I think Sol Rucka's a C tier.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. Sol Rucka hasn't won any titles. Like
on the higher end of the NXT women's, but still C. Yeah,
I'm right there with Jada Parker. I think. As much as it pains me to say it, she's a former tag team champion and all, but Gigi's
been. Let's put it this way: the last time that we saw Gigi, it was a 2-month, I believe, storyline about her with Ariana Grace that they didn't even do every week, which wasn't the best sign that they really cared about it. And it had a faulty beginning. It never went anywhere. Ariana Grace has moved on to like 3 different people that she's been like buddied up with or feuding with since then, and also has been MIA for injury stuff. And Gigi's just not been there. And she's struggled so much since the split of not Fatal Influence, the other one, the one that was pre-Fatal Influence.
Yeah,
it's the same fucking name. Toxic Attraction or Flatulence.
What is the I love that.
I swear, like for anybody that's curious, look, Fatal Influence, Flatulence.
Wrong with you?
I can't not just merge those two together in my head. Thankfully, they're not doing that themselves. I don't want to see them farting like Natty's gimmick. Gigi, though, E. She's like the Shotzi of NXT.
That's probably actually a pretty fair comparison.
Like we know that we've seen better stuff from Gigi. We've seen better stuff from Shotzi. And why haven't we seen that in as long as we haven't seen it? Who were we just talking about? Ivy?
Ariana to an E.
Yeah, right now Ariana probably is in that sort of range.
For that matter, probably so is Adriana.
Yeah, Adriana, same.
That's tier accent, though. That is totally her real voice. No notes. Cora Jade's a B, right? We don't have a need.
Hang on. He was going to put Tegan Nox in E because she's been injured for all the time. What's the point of putting Cora Jade anywhere if she's never actually going to be able to wrestle?
I wasn't going to put Tegan in an E.
Well, I know you weren't, but Tony would have done. Like, so surely by the same token, Cora can be no higher than a D.
Well, we don't have a need.
At most, she's a C. I don't know if I'd go C- or D for Cora.
I'm not putting her in D. She's a C. If she was around, she'd be at the top of the NXT scene.
If not, maybe champion right now. But Ivy Nile, D. A little bit lower than Zoe and them, around the same tier as Katana and Maxine.
I will defer to you guys for the next couple because I have to do something. So I trust these men's judgment.
Can't really trust me on these sort of things. But I don't know who they.
I'll keep them separate.
I'd say, yeah, it feels. I mean, she's feuding with Maxine, so I guess it's fair that she's on the same tier as her.
And like the same win-loss record kind of thing as like Candice and Indy. Like she pops up, she wins a match here and there once in a while, but they never really push her the way that they do with like, Sonya is a much bigger deal. Dakota being a part of Damage Control is much bigger deal. Chelsea gets way more screen time than Ivy. Ivy's been getting a lot of screen time, and so is Maxine. Don't get me wrong. But the perception of them is like, all right, Chelsea can go and have the match with Julia, and she can go and challenge Roxanne for the NXT Women's Championship. They don't do that with Ivy. They just pretty much have her as a name on Monday Night Raw. Here's somebody this is a tough one. Michin. Because she can't go higher than a C. But does she go C-? D?
I think so. I think she's at least a C because she's getting some fairly regular exposure on SmackDown now. She's in the same boat as like Naomi at this point.
I still would make the case Naomi should potentially be a B, but
what has she done to kind of be a B level person at this point?
I mean, in this past little bit, she hasn't quite lived up to her potential and all that. So I'm not going to make too much of an argument against Naomi being in C, but Michin's been getting a push recently. Not a push towards the title, but she's fought for the championship, and she's definitely in a better spot right now, Michin, than she was, say, 4 months ago. Like night and day difference. I think I'd probably go C tier in a weird way at this point for Lola Vice. Because she's like she's being treated as like a very heavily promoted person on NXT. I'm not particularly loving a lot of what she's been doing, but I'd put her on par with at least like Thea Hale, Fallon Henley, all that.
Would you kind of put like a Lash Legend in that one as well?
Yeah, see, that's tough because like Lash, I'd probably say Lash C and then Jakara D.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably about right.
Because they don't use Jakara in the same capacity. Lash talks more. She has been in more like extraneous segments, like the whole Trick Williams thing. They've given her some spots where she's been like, wow, look at how powerful she is. She was in that women's championship match for the North American title and put on a pretty decent showing there. She has been improving quite a bit. Jakara, she's mostly just been a character to stand there and talk. And between the two of them, I definitely see more value in Lash Legend, which at this point, where was she ranked last year? She was quite low, if I remember correctly. Yeah, an E tier with Jakara.
Well, yeah,
Vice and Kalani Jordan in E tier and all too. Look at that.
Well, yeah, they'd only just started out at that point, so
yeah. Well, we had a lot of people in the no opinions.
Yeah, things change a lot in
like
in NXT in particular. So
I don't even know who some of these people are. It's Tamara Mensah Stock. Some of these people have changed over the year. Kennedy Cummins is gone. Oh no, Kaya Saint's gone. I don't remember who Kennedy Cummins is. look at like a Petrovic. She was able to make a name for herself more. Ariana Grace, we know her better now. It's interesting to see that. Where am I going with this list? There you go. So we have left Blair Davenport, Izzy Dame, Nikki Cross, Nikita Lyons, Raquel Rodriguez, Tatum Paxley, Wendy Chu, and Zelina Vega. Nikita Lyons.
D.
Double.
I'd go E.
That might be a little low for that one.
She's perpetually always getting injured, and it's like
then move Cora down to D. Then
we need to establish a knee tier.
I'd say she's a D because she'll get pushed when she comes back before she gets injured again. But
2 weeks after that.
Yeah, exactly. But she'll get pushed for those 2 weeks. So
we got to vote for a D. A vote for an E. What's your vote, Rob?
D.
What do you think about these when you were gone?
Okay, Michi and C. Yeah. Well, yeah.
And then we threw Ivy and D with Maxine.
I'd argue maybe Lash moved down to D, but I don't know. I think she's fine where she is.
Izzy Dame, I'd probably put her at D.
So.
Yeah.
She's in that Carmen Petrovic range, I think.
Yeah, for now. That means Tatum in a D too?
Yeah. Tatum's in that D range.
Where do we put Wendy?
I almost just said Tatum would get the D, but that's a different story. She wants the D for doll, is what I mean. Yeah, get your mind out of the gutter, everybody.
I'm sorry, did you say E for Wendy Chu?
Yeah, of course.
I'd go D.
She's leveled up a bit. She's leveled up a bit.
Leveled up a bit. She's gotten. She just gets worse with every iteration of this character. Now she's spooky pajama girl with one knee that doesn't work.
Well, we gotta establish a knee tier.
It's so ridiculous as well to say this spooky creepy character that can turn like the lights on and off and is like teamed up with Rosemary, but she has to wear a knee brace because the real person doesn't have a leg that works properly. So it's just like this really off-putting thing of like someone wearing a onesie but then also having a knee brace on top of the onesie.
Well, first of all, her leg fell asleep. Okay.
They should probably do something to like make it a different color and do something like that.
But, I mean, if you
hear ya.
What size put her in D, then that's fine. But like,
I'd put her on par with Tatum.
But it depends because we do have Shotzi in E, and Shotzi's last thing was like in a War Games match, wasn't it?
It wasn't the last thing she did. The after she had shaved her head.
Yeah, didn't she go to War Games?
Was that the last thing? Cage match, Shotzi. Let's see here. Look at the name, also known as Shotzi Blackheart, Pizza Cat, Joey Ryan's penis, Missy High Ass Shit. Jesus.
High Ass Shit, yeah.
Missy High Ass Shit.
Yeah. So she did some things after those things. It was the match against Lyra where she got injured straight away, and then they had to bring in a Lash Legend to have the match with Lyra instead. So
all right. I mean,
she's had more chances too, and been there longer than like a Tatum or a Wendy Chu. I mean, Wendy Chu's been there quite a bit. But
I don't know if she's been here much longer than Wendy Chu.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't you mean Mei Ying?
Blair Davenport, Nikki Cross, or Raquel Rodriguez, and Zelina Vega. C for Zelina?
Mm-hmm.
On par with Sonya and them.
I'd say put Nikki there as well. Now she's part of this gimmick with the White Six.
I think that's fair. We know she could do some better stuff. And then we know she could do some more stuff too.
It kills me to say Blair Davenport might be a D, but where do we put Candice?
We put Candice in D.
Yeah, she's probably on par, unfortunately, with Tegan and Candice.
I kind of think so. Yeah, they had an opportunity twice, actually 3 times. They had an opportunity to do something with her, where they brought her up to the main roster, and then they promptly did nothing. They reintroduced her, and the way that they reintroduced her was Naomi being like, "Who the fuck are you?" And then she disappears. So that was like a terrible decision. And then they started to do this thing with the Unholy Union, and she has just been useless other than that one time that she helped them retain by DQ.
She lost to Naomi on Speed today.
Yeah. Blair's not having a great main roster run.
Which one of them was on Speed?
Well, given that she won, probably Naomi.
What was Blair on? That's a different story. And we're finally rounding this out with Raquel Rodriguez, who has been...
I almost want to say B, because I know, like, she would be pushed if she was healthy.
I think I'd go C.
I'd go C right now, because it's a mix of someone we know could be pushed higher up, but then just is never around at the moment. There's so many people here that just like... It's such a... I don't say unhealthy roster. Well, it's an unhealthy roster in terms of just... They don't stick around for very long without getting injured. A lot of these ones. Just go down the list of all of them, and like at least in every column, you probably got at least two, if not more, people that have had like serious injuries in recent time. I mean, Rhea's just come back from an injury, not particularly like long term one, but still an injury regardless. Charlotte's been injured multiple times. Bailey was injured for about a year.
Asuka's currently injured.
Yeah. Liv was injured for a long time as well, for about a year.
Kyrie gets injured here and there. You figure Dakota in that mix. Sonya was gone for however long that was. You got Cora is on there. You've got Raquel. You've got Wendy Chu.
Sol Ruka as well. She had her ACL at one point.
Sol Ruka,
yeah, that's I forgot about Sol. Nikita Lyons.
Chelsea Green's wrist.
I don't remember if Lash or Jakara had been injured. I think one of them might have been.
I can't recall.
Chelsea kept getting injured for a long time there. Kiana's currently out. Tegan's just MIA perpetually for the most part. Valhalla's MIA right now. I don't know if she's injured or if they just don't want to do anything with her. But
she's pregnant.
Oh, she's pregnant? Oh, good for her. Shotzi keeps being that. Danny Palmer was just in that. Yeah. Ariana's injured, I believe, right now. Tamina's just perpetually MIA.
It's hard to tell if Tamina was ever injured or not. But yeah, but just there's been so many ones that have had like quite like long-term injuries.
I mean, that's 21 out of, and then you figure also Bliss and Carmella are on pregnancy leave. That's 23 out of the 78 names that.
And then the rest, there's a lot of them that we just are unproven commodities.
People that are pretty new, like a Brinley Reese and like a, Adriana Rizzo and all. Like the D and the E tier are a lot of people that are like, you should be doing better, but you're not, or you are starting out and we just can't put you in the same tier. So you're either like a Tatum, who's pretty new for the most part, or you're a Candice, who's like, man, Candice, if they would have done something with her, she could have potentially been an A tier or something, but they never, I guess, saw her in that light.
I look at this now and I say, shout out to Ripley and Bianca, who did what they needed to do to fulfill the kind of prophecies bestowed onto them. But I also say, even just right now, the absence of names like Becky and Sasha, pretty huge when you look at the fact that there's only 2 S tier people, and it's Ripley and Belair.
Yeah. Now, if we wanted to balance this out a little bit better, we do have a pretty solid one for the most part when it comes to like the S and the F. The A and the E tier are relatively close, but we could potentially play around with that, maybe by moving like one person or so around. We do have more in the C tier, but then again, we're supposed to. It's the D tier that's the one that is kind of disproportionate than anything else, especially compared to the B tier, because there's only 6 in the B tier and there's 17 in the D, which would require moving somebody from D over to C, or at least moving people from C over to B.
Well, I'd say we need to move a few people from C over to B at the very least to start with.
Then who are you looking at? Because I'm looking at least...
Maybe Dakota?
As a solo act, I'm looking at Shayna.
I don't know. Let's see.
I'd say that the ones that would stand out to me, like currently in the C tier, I'd say you're probably looking at maybe Naomi, but again, that's maybe a bit of a stretch still. Maybe Alba and Isla, because they've at least been tag champions recently. Maybe just Alba as a B1 and Isla stays in C.
If we're going to move anyone like that, I would say maybe Naomi, Alba, and Shayna stick out.
I'd say that the other options potentially Dakota, Chelsea, maybe Piper, and that'd probably be it really out of those ones that I'd move from C to D.
I couldn't put Piper on the same tier as like Jade and Tiffany.
Would be the lower end of the scale.
I might.
And then I would think if we move people from C over to B, I think we would probably have to move like one or two at least names from D over to C.
Oh yeah, I'd say that as well. But if we're going to balance it out, we can't just take people and put them into B because that wouldn't make any sense.
No, I mean, we can't jump them that far.
So I'd say we move at least 4 people from C into B.
I think Naomi is a pretty solid pick for that.
Okay, we can go Naomi. I'd say Alba should be in it as well.
I don't know if I'd go Alba, but I'll put her down on the list at the bottom of there.
Do we put her in with Isla because they're a package deal at this point?
Maybe. At least there's 2 names that we're thinking about potentially moving over.
Shayna as a solo, definitely.
Maybe Shayna. Maybe Zelina.
No,
I don't think Zelina would be.
The more I think about it, the less I think Dakota should be in B, because the more it's like, there's kind of a distinction between Kyrie and Dakota. They push Kyrie more than they do Dakota.
I could see an argument for Chelsea because just her character stuff.
True. Because it's not like, just because she jobs doesn't mean that her character is not an above average character on top of all that too. And she does get some solid matches, like she did challenge for the NXT championship. She did get Julia's first match on the debut thing. So they trust her in that capacity, and they make she's definitely like, if you're going to separate Chelsea and Piper, Chelsea is definitely valued more than Piper for like overall character. Piper is valued more for if we want somebody to go out there and have a match. But Piper never wins anything either, so it's kind of like, at least Chelsea's got the character that gives her a little saving grace. So maybe Chelsea is in that, but I would potentially split them up if we do that. I don't think any of this bottom group really, for the most part, that we would move over. It's a shame because it's like you kind of feel like maybe Natty should, but like, is Natty worth B tier right now, or is she just in C tier perpetually? That's tough.
I mean, I'd say she's. Well, I'd say I was going to move her down into D, so I can't say that she'd be very high on my list to move over onto the B side of things. There's at least like,
let's keep her in C then.
Yeah, there's at least half a dozen women on that. This currently on the C tier that I'd move over before I did Natalia.
So in this kind of range of people that we're potentially moving over to the B tier, for now, I'll move them all over just to see what that's like.
And then we just move some people, because see, that seems like a decent size. So I think
this is close to the E and B kind of range.
So if we kind of like moved like, I don't know, 3 or 4 people from D tier into C tier, then we're probably on kind of where we kind of want to be.
Yeah, I think so. So at that point, I would probably say the Ds that move over to C. Maybe we're looking at like the Maxine, Ivy, Katana, Kaden.
Yeah, I would take those 4 because they're. I would take those 4.
Candace,
I'd say maybe of these ones, I'd probably go with. Again, it might be skewed because of my own like biases of who I prefer to watch in the ring, but it'd probably be Candice, Blair, then maybe KC and KC.
I think if we're going to move KC and KC, we should move Ivy. I can get behind you with Candice and Blair as well, though.
I probably wouldn't be opposed to all those moving, actually. Whoops, what is happening here? Why is this not letting me do this? That's weird. All right, let's see, because some of the other ones, like, I couldn't make a case for, like,
Izzy Dame.
Like, and Izzy being in there. So if we move them over, then that gives us, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty close. We don't have to have it be exact. I think that makes sense.
All right, look at that.
That works for me.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, that is our current one. So maybe something changes in the meantime by the time you listen to this. Maybe not. And hopefully we're at a situation next year, if we are still doing this, if I'm still around, then hopefully it'll be like, wow, we got to put everybody in at least A tier because everybody's so fucking great. You know what I mean? Like, that's the ideal situation is that everybody
situation
upgrades.
Is that you're still around. First of all, you fucking person, you.
We'll
But yeah, we always want to see everybody kind of improve. I'd love to see Charlotte and Bayley move up to S and have like GOAT runs. You know, I'd love to see Io have another run that puts her in that S tier. I'd like
to get a run with that speed title. That's what she's
I'd like to see a lot of the Carly Brights and stuff at least move over to C. You know, hopefully they have positive movement in their careers.
Mm-hmm. Some of those D's moving over into C's, maybe some C's moving into B's, maybe a Jade moving up to an A at that point. Maybe a Tiffany moving up to an A.
That I fully expect.
Julia probably at that point will be in that A tier. We'll see.
Maybe Stephanie Vaquer goes from no opinion to an S.
Yeah. Maybe Bliss and Carmella are back. Maybe Mako does something. And maybe we know who the hell these people are.
Yeah, maybe Bailey Humphrey is the key to winning main eventing WrestleMania from
could be.
now to the end of time.
It could be. Who knows? Yeah, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. Everybody tell us what you think about our rankings. Who do you think that we should have ranked higher? Who do you think we should have ranked lower? Who are you a complete, like, stand for that, you know, maybe you're like, that's absurd. Ariana Grace is definitely a B- or
Alan Henley is definitely S tier.
Right, yeah, you know. I mean, whatever it is, drop those thoughts and comments below. Make sure that you also show your support in all the different ways mentioned at the beginning of this. Make sure you check out all the Linktree stuff too. Go to amangotree.com. You'll find links to the Smark Out Moment content, the Fanboys Anonymous content, and all the other kind of things that I have at least put up on there for the Linktree. And make sure that you check out what Rob and Callum are up to as well.
Yep. Check out Fightful.com. Check out my work on there. Check out Dude Felice on all the social platforms. But of course, check out what Callum Wiggins has going on Smark Out Moment.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. You can find the Power Rankings over on smarkoutmoment.com every Saturday, where I rank the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances. And while you're there, you can also head on over to the Fantasy League, also at www.fantasyleague.com, and see how all of our rosters are doing and who's picking up points as we make our way to Bad Blood.
Okay, everybody. That is the WWE women's roster tier list down. We do have the men's roster to still come. So click on that and we will see you then. But for now, this has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.